Nice, nice. Nice shot, nice shot. Nice shooting.
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
Grammarly will ensure
RPG Maker MV. have given right here to where the dialogue is, gives us gold, and under here let's do control switches. Let's create a new switch. We'll call it stop giving gold. And as you can probably imagine, when this switch is turned on, this NPC will stop giving gold. So it's gonna say here's some gold, it's gonna give us 100 gold, and then switch to stop giving gold is gonna be turned on. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a copy of this event page and paste it. And now we have a complete copy of this on page 2. Except instead of giving gold and setting switch 2 to on, it's just gonna have a single dialogue. And this dialogue is gonna be, I have given you gold. So this is what's gonna appear after this NPC has given us gold. And to make this so this appears after we've gotten gold, simply set switch, my switch, which is gonna be stop giving gold, as a condition. Now when this event is active, the first thing that's going to happen is the condition for page 2 is going to be checked. If this is false, then it's going to go on to page 1 and use this event. Otherwise, it's going to be using page 2's event. So say for example, at the very beginning of your game, stop giving gold, the switch is going to be turned off. So it's going to be using page 1. And on page 1, we're going to be given some gold, 100 gold, then switch is going to be turned on. Then when it's turned on, it's going to be using the other event, which doesn't give us gold and instead informs us that we've been given gold. Now, this is all perfect, it'll work perfectly, but hopefully you've seen the flaw in this setup, which is the fact that we don't want to have it so each individual event has their own switch they have to use. And what I mean by this is this right here. As you may notice, we have a limited supply of switches. I mean, we could change the maximum, give ourselves 100 switches, and we have 100 switches available for use. But in your game, you're going to have a lot of NPCs and events that are going to require much functionality and manipulation to make it so they do not repeatedly give you gold, items, weapons, etc. So there's actually a second way we can actually do this, and the answer is by using self-switches. Now, if you recall from the switches tutorial, switches are going to be global data that all events can access. But on the other hand, self-switches are individual switches that only affect each individual event. So what I mean by that is to say, instead of doing control switches like this, let's go into the events, and let's do control self-switch right here. And we'll set self-switch A on. Now, self-switch A is going to be for this event and this event only. The other events will also have their own self-switch A, but it'll remain off, while this event's self-switch A is turned on. So let's go to the page 2, let's go to the conditions, turn off our switch condition, and instead have our self-switch condition turned on. Make it so it's self-switch A, and we are good to go. So let's review, once again, what's going to be happening here. We're going to have this first event active. It's going to give us some gold, then turn self-switch A on. Then, when this event is repeated, it's going to be using the second page, since self-switch A is going to be turned on. And like I mentioned before, self-switches are only for each individual event. So having this event self-switch A turned on is not going to affect any of the self-switches of any other events. Furthermore, it's not going to take up any of your global switch slots, so you can use as many of these as you like per each event. Well, not really, because if you notice, each event only has 4 self-switches, A, B, C, and D. And now when we test it out in this game, and we talk to this person, they will give us some gold. And if you notice, we'll gain 100 gold in our inventory. But if we talk to them again, they're going to say, I've given you gold, and they're not going to increase our gold whatsoever. And that's because self-switch is now turned on for this event, so it's going to be using the second page instead of the first page. And that's really all for this tutorial. It's pretty simple actually, but at the same time, it's very important that you use this in order to restrict your events to performing a certain action at a certain period. Let's try out one more thing. Just as a demonstration as for how self-switches work and how eventing works altogether, let's actually make another thing that goes on right here. Let's turn self-switch B on at the end of this event. Now let's copy this event page and paste it and make page 3's event condition be B. So now what's going to happen is we're going to start on page 1. It's going to turn self-switch A on, which is going to make it go to page 2. Page 2 is going to turn self-switch B on, which is going to go to page 3. And let's recall exactly why this happens. Remember, it's going to first check the condition of the highest numbered page. So page 3 is the highest number. It's going to check self-switch B and see that's going to be turned off. Next, it's going to check page 2, and it's going to notice that page 2's condition, which is going to be self-switch A is on, is also going to be false. So it's going to go to page 1, it's going to see it has no conditions, so it's going to use page 1. Next, after this event has completely finished running and self-switch A is turned on, it's going to go back to page 3, check page 3's condition again. If it's still self-switch B, which is false, it's going to go to page 2. But now, page 2's condition, which is if self-switch A is turned on, is not true. It's going to stop at page 2 and use page 2's event. Finally, after page 2 is run and self-switch B is turned on, it's going to go once start again from page 3, check to see if this condition is true, and since page 3's condition is true, it's going to do whatever's in here, which will say page 3 is here, so page 3 is here. And that's really how eventing works altogether. What we could do, actually, is go right here and turn self-switch A off. But this won't change a thing, because it's still going to start from page 3, and it's going to say, hey, self-switch B is turned on, so it's still going to go here, even if self-switch A is turned off. And that's really all there is. And that's all for this tutorial. If you enjoyed, please give this video a like, please subscribe, and ask any questions of anything you want to see in future beginner's tutorials. And that's all for now. Until next time, RPG Maker tutorial end.
If you don't know how to make chords, this is it. Congratulations. The chords are
parallel process, or just parallel, as you see right here. Now, there's a vital difference between these two. Let's go back to auto right here. When an auto run is running, the player won't be able to move or anything. This is sort of similar to when you interact with another NPC and they start a dialogue. When the dialogue is active, the player cannot move. And even when a wait event is occurring, the player cannot move throughout that wait event. And that's similar with auto run. With auto run, the player won't be able to move when the events are running. So you can pretty much imagine what this is going to be like. On the other hand, parallel trigger means that the events are going to be running in the background, but the player will be able to move. We'll worry about that later, but today's video, we're going to be focusing on auto run. Now to start off, as you see right here, I have this completely blank event. You can pretty much stick this event wherever you want inside the room. I usually like to stick them in the top left corner, just so I have all my auto run events like organized in one spot so I don't lose them on like bigger maps or something. But anyway, let's go into our auto run event right here. As you can see, no image because we want just the event to run stuff and not actually have to be interactive with the player. So doesn't matter the priority, doesn't matter all these options. In fact, none of this matters except for the content and the trigger, which we've set to auto run. So let's do a very basic example. Let's show text and we'll say this is run because of auto run. Whoa, there we go, auto run. Yay, we did it. And so we'll hit OK, and we'll hit OK. And now when the player enters this room, that auto run event will continuously run. So let's walk into the house. Whoa, here we go. And when we walk into the house and the map starts, immediately our thing is going to this dialog box. It's going to continue onward because there's nothing stopping the event from this. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new over and over and over and over and over. Fortunately, if you watched the previous tutorial, you already know how to fix this. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new event at the very end of this, control self switch, turn self switch A on, then in a new event page, make the condition self switch A is on, but instead of having the trigger be auto run, it'll just be action button, so it doesn't actually affect the player at all, and it just sits there in the top corner doing absolutely nothing and doesn't affect the game at all. So now, when the auto run occurs, it's going to play this dialog once, then it's going to set auto switch A, did I say auto switch, self switch A on, then it's going to go to page 2 and everything's going to be good to go. And this time, when we enter the house, we'll find that the dialog runs once, but then after it's done, we can move around and we're good to go. Now, the real question is, what do we use this for? And the main answer is cutscenes that automatically run when a certain map starts. So let's get straight into that. So as you probably noticed, that room is pretty empty as you see right here. So let's make so when the player enters this room for the first time, they go around and make a mention on how empty this real entire house is really. So it's gonna be pretty simple. If you recall from one of the previous tutorials, we can use the movement route thing right here to set a movement route for the player or an NPC. So we'll set player, move up a couple times, then we'll have them wait for a couple frames, so like wait maybe 10 frames, then they'll turn to the left, wait another 10 frames, or maybe 15. 14, okay, why not? Turn right, wait another 14 frames. This is important to keep it like a good pace. Then they'll turn it back up again and wait another, say, 15 frames. Or 14. Anyway, once they're done moving around, it'll wait because we have this wait trigger right here, so wait for completion, so it's gonna wait for all that to finish, and when it does finish, we're gonna have a dialogue that says, hey, this place sure is empty, so we'll say, hey, this place sure is empty, and let's give it our player face. I hope we have this player face. We have it. Oh, here it is, my face. Oh, here they are. Oh, that's beautiful. Anyway, we'll hit OK, and then it'll turn self switch A on, and it'll go to the second page, and it'll stay this way for the rest of the entire game. And now, once we enter the house, what will happen is the player will first walk up, I'm not controlling anything, they'll look around a bit, and then they'll say, hey, this place sure is empty, and then we'll be free to go. If we leave the house and come back, it'll actually not run the cutscene again, because that event's self switch will permanently set it on no matter what. And yeah, that's really all for this tutorial. It's a very simple concept, but it's going to be extremely important in the future when we're going over cutscenes, intro scenes to your game, and all that crazy stuff. And so, yeah, that's all for this video. Look forward to more tutorials in the future, and yeah, please give this video a like and subscribe, and comment below what you may want to see in the future beginner's tutorial. Until next time, RPG, Maker, tutorial, end and stuff. Okay, yeah, okay. So in the last tutorial, we learned about auto-run events that run automatically, and these can help you a lot in the future when it comes to creating intro scenes, or perhaps automatic events that occur when a map starts, or maybe even the intro scenes that occur. Now in the previous tutorial about switches, we fixed Bob and Joe's problem by making it so Joe turns on a switch, then Bob reacts to whether that switch is on and off. But there is a couple problems with this scenario. The first problem is, if we talk to Bob once, he's gonna say he gave us permission, he's gonna move to the left. But what if the player's a bad little player and they're gonna go talk to Bob again? He's gonna say he gave you permission to move more to the left. We can just keep making him move more and more to the left by keeping repeating the event by talking to him. And that's a bad thing. And not only that, if we go into the house and we go back outside the house, we notice that, hey, Bob's back where he started and now we're standing on top of him. You can make that game design if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. And how are we going to fix these issues? And the answer is variables. Variables isn't the answer, but I mean, we're going to use it anyway to show how they work in this tutorial. So like I may have mentioned in the previous tutorial, variables are like switches, but they're set to numbers instead of being set to simply on and off. And so instead of explaining it, let's get straight into it. Let's delete this switch and instead replace it with a variable. So we'll go to control variables under control switches. We'll go create a new variable. We'll set it so it's variable ID 1. We'll call it my variable. There we go. We'll hit OK, and we'll set my variable. We'll set it right here to set operation to 1. If you may have noticed, there's a whole ton of other stuff like add, subtract, multiply, divide, mod, variable, random, game data, script, all this crazy stuff. Don't worry about it. We're just going to set it to a constant of 1 and then hit continue. And now what's going to happen is when this event is run and it gets to this point, our variable ID 1 called my variable is going to be set equal to 1, which means we can now go into our Bob and have Bob react to whether the variable is set to 1 or set to 0, which is the default. Now, if we go in here, we can set to our conditional branch, we'll edit it, and instead of checking for my switch to be on, we'll check if our variable is equal to 1. It's that simple. My variable is equal to constant of 1. Let's hit OK. Now what's going to happen is, if variable is equal to 1, we're going to get permission and he's going to move to the left. Otherwise, he's going to say the default dialog, which is, he's Bob, and we can't pass until Joe says so. And that's cool and all, but it doesn't resolve the issue, which is, how do we make it so that this only repeats once, and then it does something else from that point on? And the answer is, we're actually going to get rid of this else branch. So let's remove these two events right here. So copy, paste, whatever, go into this event, and remove the else branch. So now what's going to happen is, if variable 1 is turned on, then it's going to do this stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to skip all this and do this stuff, whatever, you get it. So to address the problem, we're going to go in here, we're going to go to another conditional branch, and we're going to check if my variable is equal to 0, which is the default. So if my variable is equal to 0, we're going to do the default dialog right in here. So boop, boop, boop. If variable is equal to 0, we'll put it on top right here. Right now I'm doing control X to cut and control V to paste. It's that simple, just don't worry about it. So if my variable is equal to 0, you're going to do default dialog. If my variable is equal to 1, it's going to do the new dialog. But now we're going to do something else. Go back and Oh boy, time to try out this Project RPG Maker thingy.
Oh my god!
Wow, that's a very bad title command window, but I think I know how to fix this. Using the title command customizer plugin, the plugin that allows you to customize the title command window. Immediately after installing it, you'll notice that your title command is now completely different, has a new shutdown option, and now things are just have icons and look better. Yeah! This plugin allows you to manipulate the various aspects of the window, including the X, Y, width, height, rows, columns, padding, and also opacity, along with a couple other things. For example, if you want to make it go lower, you would just actually subtract less from this, so like you'll make it 25. Yeah, now it's a lot lower than before. Anyway, besides all this, let's get straight into the meat of this plugin, which is the command customization, which allows you to customize each of the commands on the title screen command window, you know, Yonfly main menu. Command 1 is going to be the new game command thingy right here. So, yeah. As you can see, command 2 is continue, command 3 is options, and folder. You know, title commands are cool and all, but like Windows are like so last year. You gotta like keep up with the hip new trends of 2017. Yeah. Introducing the Title Picture Choices plugin, an extension plugin to the Title Command Customizer that allows you to use pictures for choices on your title. Of course, the first thing you want to do is go into your game folder, images, Starman and Dude, create the title folder, then input all the command images you want to input right here. As you can see, they're formatted so it's going to be an unselected version and a selected version side by side, split in two within that image like this. Next, go to the Title Command Customizer and make note of all the commands you're using. As you can see, each command is customized with a specific command 1 label, command 2, command 3, etc., etc. Then go to the Title Picture Choices, go down to each command right here, and input the file name of the picture you wish to use for each corresponding command. For example, we're going to use a new game image for command 1. And as you recall, back in the Title Command Customizer, command 1 is going to be the new game command thingy right here. So yeah. As you can see, command 2 is continue, command 3 is options, and command 4 is shutdown. And then corresponding to all those, command 1 is the new game image, command 2 is a continue image, command 3 is the options, and command 4 is shutdown, just like that. And then, once the game is run, as you can see here, those images are being used for the commands or choices or whatever for the game. So yeah, it's a thing. The faded out ones refer to ones that can't be chosen because they're not available, and you can just click on it. Magic water, and now we have a display for it in our gold window. Now I know what you're thinking. Look at that thing. It's not even plural. Fortunately, you can change the columns and rows that far. Oh, what is that? Oh, what is that? Oh, it's just your default menu when you're using a widescreen resolution. Why does it look so ugly? If only there was a way to solve this. Good thing the only other plugin besides Yonfly's core engine that I have is a menu status customizer. A plugin that allows you to customize the miniature status things that appear next to your actors in the main menu. And now your menu retains its shape instead of stretching out to meet the width of the screen size. Of course, this actually won't be necessary, because what this plugin does, it allows you to add more stuff to your status menu, making it so it doesn't have to stretch that far. Now here's how it works. To start off, let's customize the columns and rows of the status window's information. So for example, let's set the status info columns to 3, like that. So we have 3 columns and 3 rows. So as you see right here, all the information is split up like a grid. As you see, there's 3 columns and there are 3 rows. And using this, we can change and input and manipulate where each piece of information lays in this display right here. So as you saw, you can change the columns and rows of the information presented in that mini status thing. However, to make it so you can choose where each piece of information goes, we're going to use this stuff right here. So how it works is quite simple. You have the piece of information, whether you show it or not, and that's location based on a row and a column. So for example, let's take the nickname right here. By default, nicknames aren't shown, so let's show a nickname. And then right here underneath it, let's set its location to somewhere. So the empty spots were the 3rd column and the 2nd row. So we'll put row 2, column 3, like that. And voila! Now each actor's nickname appears in the third column and the second row. And of course, there are pieces of information for everything you need to know. The name, nickname, class, level, icons, HP bar, MP bar, TP bar, and a built-in new EXP bar. And once again, using these, you can change where each thing appears. So now let's try something else. Let's make it so the TP bar is no longer shown, so we'll set this as false. Now, as you can see, the TP bar has now disappeared from our little status menu thing right here. But now let's try making it so the EXP bar appears where the TP bar was. So the TP bar was in row 3, column 2. Let's set the EXP bar to row 3, column 2, like that. And now voila! The EXP bar now appears underneath the HP, MP, and right there. Yeah! So using this, you can now manipulate where each piece of information will lay in your mini actor status that appears on your menu, making it so no matter what resolution your game is, you can have information oriented to fit your menu to make it look a lot better than normal. Finally, also comes the ability to create your own pieces of information using JavaScript. So for example, see right here, we have the status 1 eval. Let's set it something like the attack. So we'll do attack. Before I begin, let me just say, if you haven't seen the Undertale Beta 1.5 video and you are new to the Undertale battle system, I would recommend watching that since I will only be going over what's been added to this complete version. Anyway, yeah, this is it. This is a full version of the Undertale battle system. It's finally complete. This will also be the final Undertale video, so to all your Undertale haters, today is your day to rejoice. So what's been added? Pretty much everything I couldn't do before. Green or shield mode, pixel collision, death animations, animated attacks, and a special window skin for parallel dialogue. Let's get straight into everything. First is green mode. Set UTB mode to 2 and you'll be good to go. In this mode, the shield will destroy all attacks it makes contact with. You can set it up a custom sound effect and a custom image to use in the parameters. Next is Pixel Collision. You can have an attack use Pixel Collision simply by setting collision type to Pixel. This will make it so the player's sprite must have pixel perfect contact with the attack to cause damage. A death animation has been added, making things look a little better when the actor is defeated. You can now also give attacks animated frames. Simply set the attack's image to a sprite sheet that is made up of horizontal frames only. Then set the attack's animation frames to the number of frames in each image, and set the animation speed to the delay in frames you want for each image. Finally, the message system has been changed. You can now use a custom window skin and have the show text to display a similar type of dialogue to the Undertale. To do so, simply do this.message, then the string within the two parentheses within the UTB code note tag as usual, and it will show up during the attack. So that's all for the Undertale battle system stuff. Now to move on to the Undertale engine plugins. This includes the Act and Spare system, along with the Alt Battle Scene Undertale, which will be released within the demo project for the Undertale battle system. Since I'll be giving you the project itself, you shouldn't have to worry about all the things because they'll already be set and ready to go. But I'll still explain everything anyway, so let's get straight into that. So to start, you want to make sure you have all 4 of these plugins in this specific order. The Alt Battle Screen Undertale, the Undertale battle system, the Act and Spare system, and then the Escape Upgrade plugin just right here.